minutes to master, tools to explore. Let your imagination soar like never before. AI Tool Time with Rick McCawley, where your digital dreams come true.
Ignition.
Scribes will literally sit there and copy it and then put it in the world's largest library. Alexandria, that's it is. So Alexander the Great created this library where he basically stole and copied everything and put it into the library, which is ironic because what I'm going to show you is how to use Google NotebookLM as this new library creation tool for educators. So all of this, and your job is to be the curator of knowledge. All right. Welcome to Tool Time. My name is Rick McCawley. Today, we're going to talk about Google NotebookLM. Yes, it's probably the most powerful tool that educators can use out there today. And what it is, you can find it. It's part of the Google library of tools. So if you pay $20 a month, or as an educator, spend $10 a month, you can get access to not only Gemini, you can get access to 5 terabytes of space on your Google Drive. You can get access to Nano Banana, which we've talked about before. But today I'm going to do a super deep dive into probably one of the most amazing features you can do, and that is Google NotebookLM. To give you an idea, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I built this library, just like the Library of Alexandria, where it's the collection of all knowledge ever known to man. And I'm going to show you how I constructed this one. At the end of this, you're going to be able to go in here and take a look at a mind map, which takes a look at copyright law. Here's precedent-setting copyright law. And then each one of these things is basically loaded information. And I'll show you how I got here. In fact, if you want to know about Getty Images and Midjourney, you can click right there and it tells you all the stuff that happened and when it happened. How the heck does it do that? Well, this is based upon the sources that you put in. So the way Google Notebook works, it's like building a library. And you've got 3 components. So let's start here on the left. You start with a source and you can add them in. So here's one. This is a video that I took a look at. Take a look at this. So all I did is went over to YouTube, and this is how I recommend you do it. Find a topic you're interested on. It could be copyright. It could be doing a children's book. It could be doing what are the best tips for Nana Banana, or it could be doing a recipe book that you're doing. So what you do is you go out and collect sources, just like those folks at the Alexandria did. And when you go to YouTube in particular, what it does is it transcribes the entire video. So right here, I have all of it. And here's a source guide. This is a summary of what it's talking about. All right, what kind of sources can I bring in here? When you go to add, take a look at this. First, in the top middle section, you can drop any PDF, any text document, any markdown language, and MP3s. Coming soon is video raw, okay? Then you have Google Drive. So I've got mine connected to my Google Drive. Here is some of my stuff on my rocket ship thing. So I could come in here and I could say, oh, I want to grab this story about Napster moment, blah, blah, blah. So any information I have on my terabytes of Google Drive, and you can see what I'm working on. In fact, here's the copyright PDF that I just made. Let's insert this, and I'm going to bring that in as a resource. Take a look at what it does. It's going to ingest that and bring it right into the camp here, right? So now that's part of my grounded information. Also, it can add, as we saw below, Google Drive and then links to a website or a YouTube video. Now you'll see across the bottom, for my $20, what do I get? I get 300 sources. That means 300 YouTube videos, 300 websites, 300 entries. And they can be the size of 20 megabytes each. Or if it's scraping an entire website, you just copy and paste the URL there. So I can come in here and I've got already loaded up. This is a whole episode about copyright law that goes over the writer's strike and all this kind of stuff. So all I do is just come over here, hit share, copy. And then when I come back over to my notebook, I simply tap on YouTube, paste in the URL, and then now insert. And I can watch it ingest this information in real time. And then I can go down here. Here it is. And let me watch it, because once it's done spinning through that, let's see where, I think this is the one here. Oh, here's a different one. So this is another video. It's got the entire transcripts. All right, so that's kind of cool. So that's input. Now, here's a really super cool thing. So I want to do this presentation because I want to create a 16-week class. So not only do I need to know what AI and copyright is going on right now, but I need to be able to create a quiz. I need to create a PowerPoint and a 16-week class, flashcards, mind maps, audio overviews, video overviews. Yeah, let me not get ahead of myself, but I want to do one more thing, and that is I want to discover what I want to discover. So I can say what I want to discover, and then it's going to search. Find me all the case law and precedent setting in the copyright field with artificial intelligence as the subject matter. Make sure that it's official, whether it's an open case or a closed case. Looking for historical documentation doing with copyright law that may have effect on current AI and copyright law itself. Okay, so now it's going to go out there and search for just that. So that means every website, every lawsuit, anything that's on the internet, it's going to suck in. If it's grounded truth, so since I specifically asked for case law that is, so here's federal court cases, here's generative, here's the summary PDF. One thing so I'll just import all of those, and guess what? I'm not even coming close. So that's it ingesting all that knowledge. So that Alexandria library that we talked about earlier, sometimes you'll find ones that are behind paywalls and they'll come up with a red thing. I just remove those. I don't need to get something that, needs to be paid for, and I don't want to do anything illegal. So, but you can tell it what you want to base it upon. In fact, I just thought what would be kind of cool is the top news stories. So I'm going to come back up here again. I want to discover, and I'm going to be ingesting. Again, I'm looking for all the knowledge that's out there. Bring me the top 5 news stories and detailed information from trusted news sources like Associated Press, New York Times, or other outlets about AI cases that are currently the most contentious and the highly publicized ones there are. Any magazine or any source that's free for access and knowledge gain would be spectacular. Thank you. Okay, so now it's going to go out and look for those sources. If it's behind a paywall, it's not going to go there, but you get the idea. I could, if I subscribe to New York Times, download as a PDF and then load it up in my Discovery tab. Okay, here we go. And there's Forbes magazine, there's The Guardian, there's et cetera, et cetera. And you can look at each one of these. So what I'm doing is I'm really doing some cool stuff as an educator. I am collecting and curating knowledge that I know to be fact-based. And here's a scholar, law.gwu. Not quite sure. Sometimes I'm not sure why it doesn't get through, but you can keep going. All right, so that's kind of cool. So let's come up with a question that we might want to ask of this information. I'm creating a 16-week course, and I want you to give me an outline and an overview. What would be the name of this course if I want them to as a legal department? So this will be taught by a law professor. It will also be taught by an ethicist and a philosopher, and it will also be taught by an AI expert who's up on all these laws. These 3 different people will create this multidisciplinary class. Give me an overview of what this class might need to include, what are the talking points, and give me 3 sort of expertise perspectives that these 3 professors might bring to the table to framework this class. Using the data here, let's make a class and give an outline that I can present to the professor to convince them to teach this wonderful class. Give me a course number, as this would be a graduate level class in a multidisciplinary degree program. Okay, so it's taking the grounded information. This is Gemini now going to work. And so there's my question. And I could actually create an audio overview about just this question alone and have it tell me what it suggests doing. How cool is that? Create a mind map all of a sudden. But in just a few seconds, it's taking all of this information, which is now, I don't know, maybe just only 60 or 70 references, perhaps, and it's going to give me an answer. While that's kind of cooking in the wings, I can come over here and take a look at any actions that are where I've already done this. So I've got down here some other outputs. It normally doesn't take this long, so I'll probably edit this part out, but it's using 59 sources. That's what I have. I have 59 sources, and I just asked this question, and it's in the process of answering it. Oh, here we go. And here's the outline for the course. And how wonderful is this? Look at this. Okay, let me go zoom in. A graduate level seminar, multidisciplinary examination, and then take a look at this, right? So there's the class. It even gives you a cross-listed in the different departments. The algorithmic author, law, ethics, and creativity in the age of AI. Guess what it has here? The citations from where the information came from, right? Graduate level seminar provides multidisciplinary explanation of the profound legal and ethical and society changes proposed by generative artificial intelligence. As AI models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and Sora demonstrate unprecedented capabilities in creating text, images, and video, they have triggered an existential crisis for creators and have upended traditional frameworks of intellectual property. That's the topic for tonight's show, copyright and intellectual property. This course will explore the pivotal moments we are in, where court dockets are backlogged with lawsuits pitting creators against technology giants, and the very definition of authorship, creativity, and infringement are being contested. Holy cow, is that perfect or what? So then I go jump to the bottom, and this is how I do it. Click copy, go over to my Microsoft Word document, which is always ready, create a new document. I paste it. Oops. Oh, that's an old document I had on screen. Oh, that's not the right one. Hold on. Let me try that again. I copy the information and I come over to create a new document. There we go. Okay, so there's my document, and I'm going to auto save it to the OneDrive. If I have Google Notes up on Skage, then I'll have that here as well. Then I'll save it as a PDF, and I'll come back and do that later. But also I can save this note and pin it over here. So this becomes a permanent entry, and if I like it, fantastic. Now I can go further, and it actually tells me what I'm going to be doing on each week, how we're going to divide up the roles of these three professors so it makes sense, right? And because it's got grounded information, and I could vet that even more carefully, so I would have all of us bringing to this table in a group thing, which you can share this, by the way, all this information. So this can be a collaborative experience. So I literally would say, hey, you guys want to teach this class? Then I would say, bring them in here. Here's what I have so far. All right. So now I'm going to have it create a mind map. I'm going to have it create a quiz. I'm going to have it create some reports. What reports do I want it to create? A blog post? Yes, why not? And it's actually generating these things as we go. And to show you what this looks like, I'm going to do a new audio overview. Now, audio overview is going to be a voice where you can kind of set. So I'm going to come in here. Now, audio overview is two people talking to each other. You can pick short, longer. On the deep dive, it's a lively conversation between two hosts in whatever language you want. Here are the ones currently supported, and there's quite a few. They just added these recently. Look at this, Filipino. Wow. I don't even know what some of these languages are. Okay, that's cool. Then I could do a brief, bite-sized kind of thing, a critique, or a debate. So I'm going to put debate, and it sets to default. Then I'm going to say here, custom instructions. I'm teaching a class in multidisciplinary education. We have an AI ethicist, an AI expert, and we have also a philosopher and a journalism professor. They're going to be teaching this class. So I'd like to cover both the philosophy, the ethics, and the practical journalistic nature of how we protect it. Also an artist, I'm sorry. We're going to have a professor who's an art professor worried about the future of meaning. So use all those perspectives and give me a debate between an artist-centric view of the AI world, who is against AI scraping their work, and the large language companies that are practically trying to make advances to change the world for the better, using all things the way that an artist would look at artwork and build upon that. Okay, I did a very poor job of that, but the idea is this conversation is going to be an audio overview that is based upon my request for what I wanted to do. The video overview is the same sort of thing. And instead of doing that right now, what I'm going to do is bring up, here is the notes that we did on one. It's now generating an audio overview, and it's generating a quiz. I can even come down here and make different reports that you just saw. And so it's generating that, and then flashcards. So flashcards, and I'm going to come down here and show you what that looks like at the end. So the copyright flashcards I did 20 hours ago are this. What are the 4 non-exclusive statutory factors of fair use defense in the United States copyright law? Well, I can see the answer. There we go. And I can have it explained. And this will actually put together right here in this center console an explanation of this particular question. So for students, they can sit here and go true, false. In the context of fair use, a party must prevail on all 4 factors to win a fair use determination, true or false. Take a look at what we've got here. In a matter of minutes, I've created a master's level course in this information. And when I go on down and take a look at some of the other reports that I created earlier, here's the one about copyright law. And when you were looking at this before, you thought, okay, that's kind of cool. But what is the proposed change in regulation? Now, here's the really super cool thing you can do. If you click on this right now, so No Fakes Act, that's before Congress right now, okay? And writer strikes right in 2023. So this information's already been ingested. If I click on this, watch what just happened. In this center console, it's answering all the questions about that. It's summarizing, discuss the sources say about proposed registration, regulatory changes in a larger context of AI and copyright law. Holy cow. Stop the presses. And I'm doing this all at once, and it's multitasking. Yes, it can multitask. Human beings, not so much. And then here we go. So here is the core thing. Then I can take that information, again, jumping to the bottom, copying that note. Ooh, it's still going. And I know where it came from. So even if I'm critical, and you should be a critical thinker, and maybe I got more information. So here's federal and state regulations. Here's the source information. It's all there. And then when I copy and paste this, and it's still going. I mean, it's still going. Remember, this is Gemini. So literally you could load up all the Harry Potter books, all the Lord of the Rings books into one NotebookLM and then query it. Imagine every major philosopher of all time copied and pasted in. Then you go over and then you go into your notes that you're doing. And then I recommend using a Google Drive to put all these into, but there you go. Here's the generative AI copyright disclosure, transparency law, preventing deep fake legislation. So if you even just wanted to know for a newscast, what about the No Deep Fakes Act? And then guess what happens? I didn't do it here, but at the bottom, it would tell you all the links to where the source information came from. Holy cow, blow my mind. All right, so now we haven't listened to one of these, and this is my favorite part. First, we'll listen to flashcards. Oh, here we go. Let's watch this. Oops. Sorry about that. Let me try to grab it one more time. Okay.
Today, we're jumping right into a massive fight that's brewing at the intersection of technology and creativity. We're talking about a battle where lines of computer code are going up against centuries of law, and it could completely change what it means to be an artist or a writer in the 21st century. So let's just start with this number, $1.5 billion. What does that number even mean? Is it the price tag for some new AI supercomputer? A tech company's valuation? Nope, it's actually the dollar amount at the very center of the fight we're talking about today. That massive number? It's from a proposed settlement in a lawsuit against the AI company Anthropic. And that quote from the author's lawyer really puts it into perspective. This isn't some theoretical debate anymore. We are talking about real billion-dollar consequences. And honestly, this one case is the perfect way to understand this entire war over AI and copyright. So let's break it down. Okay, so here are the players. You've got the AI company Anthropic on one side and a whole group of authors and publishers on the other. And the allegation is just wild, that Anthropic knew it was downloading millions of books from pirate sites to train its AI. The proposed payout wasn't small change either. We're talking about roughly $3,000 for every single one of an estimated 500,000 books. That's a historic number. But, and this is a huge but, just when everyone thought it was a done deal, a federal judge basically hit the brakes. The judge started questioning whether the deal was even fair, which just goes to show you how messy and uncertain this whole legal area is. Absolutely nothing is set in stone. Now, to really get why this is all so complicated, we have to take a quick step back and look at the basics.
Okay, I'm going to stop there because this goes on for 7 minutes, and every
you
slide
and
is
only
absolutely on point.
It's that act of
and it's
copying that
based
has
upon this real information. Now, what I will tell you about this is the Anthropic has now been settled. Well, actually, December it will be finally. But what it did illegal was not to scrape all the information on the internet. That's actually cool. It's called transformative. That's what the current legal law states as the wall that you can't pass. However, when you scrape it, you can't keep it. So it actually went to a pirate website and grabbed 500,000 books. Okay. If you stole it, that's a crime. Okay. And if you kept it, that's proof you stole it. And so right now they're doing some research to find out if they actually still have it, if this was a mistake. And they've decided to give $3,000 per entry. So yeah, it's almost, for most companies, that would be an existential end to your company. So that's the inside the baseball. And we'll talk about this on tonight's show. But what's spectacular about this, and what I'm going to do, is I take this audio overview, I take the statistics that are here, and I'm going to juice up the visuals just a little bit, like I'm doing with this PowerPoint presentation that you'll see in a second. But what's so extraordinary about this is, think about this. Every one of your students has these kind of flash decks. And I could say, give me just a video overview that just talks about philosophy and ethics. Give me a perspective from just journalism. And then it's generating these different ones. So each time I ask a different question, when I hit this pencil, I'm saying, I want to have it look from this perspective. It's spectacular. The way that we teach is changing fundamentally. So I've actually had it create the 16-week course. And then I did one on another topic. So to kind of land the plane here, you've got input of all the sources in the planet that you can actually have it act as a research agent. That's the big thing. And the type of sources can be any kind of source there is in existence. So that's spectacular. So let me take a look at this one I did for hotel tech. So I did research. I don't know anything about hotel trends and AI and hospitality, but I was able to create AI-powered hotel. What does that have to do? When I did my presentation, it was based on this data. Oh my God, thousands of hours it would have taken to take 43 sources of information from robots in hotels. So here's robotics in hotels, right? And so I can actually take a look at, this is actually the YouTube video that it found for me. And then it summarized that. And then it creates this. And then I go off and I download this and I use it to create other products. So I'll show you just a little bit of what I'm doing in PowerPoint, and we're going to wrap it up here. But so I said, I want to present to everybody the understanding of what the metaphor is for this Google Notebook. Imagine that you're one of the people who's curating all of this knowledge as the information comes in from the Nile and great philosophers, Egyptian thinkers, etc., and it comes through Alexandria on its way to rest of Europe, etc. you had to copy it, and then they created the world's largest library, which, to give you a sense of scale, still was only about the size of your local public library, to give you that idea. Now you're in a world where all knowledge has already been put on the internet. It got scraped and it's at your fingertips, and you ingest it into Google Notebook LM. So who are you as an educator? You're the curator of knowledge at the world's largest library. You're the librarian of the Alexandrian Library. The ancient library was the center of all scholarship, where librarians curated the world's knowledge. The modern curator, Google Notebook LM. That's it. And then you get to tailor it to your needs. I was teaching a photography class. What do? I ingest all of the best YouTube videos about how to do photography. So the exposure triangle, which I've taught for 30 years, I can stop teaching that and let ChatGPT build the most beautiful visual video library of explainer videos ever built on Earth, and take all my knowledge and put on top, and then curate it and form it and sculpt it to the way I want. How did I create what you're looking at right now? I asked ChatGPT, I was doing the speech, give me a metaphor with the librarian of Alexandria and what Google Notebook LM is. I fed that script into ChatGPT. I said, give me a slide deck, PowerPoint presentation, give me a description of each image that would go along with this combination of comparing Alexandria to the modern Google Notebook LM in use. And then it generated a script that I went over to Manus. You could do this in Lovable or any capable engine that can generate images. So the images were all generated within an hour, and this is what I got. Now I'd go back and I'll edit this, and I've got it trained on my style, which is headlines that are golden color, white text, large copy, and then image style that I've generated over time. And then so you've got from Discovery tab, expand your collection. So we're discovering stuff and we're asking for it to do it, right? This is actually a pretty cool metaphor. And then the scrolls to case law. So I want to bring in case law. And I would probably tweak this because I didn't, and then we have debate, right? So we have debate not only by the speakers, but then I tell my students, we're going to have a real debate over what you would do and how would you. So this would be the law professor is going to have actual students of philosophy and art take both sides. Imagine you're debating your students and you pitted an artist who's anti-AI with a very proactive AI business person in the class. Or you put the two teams together and you let them pick which side they want to debate. And then you ask them to debate the opposite side. You give them the corpus of data and they have to make a convincing argument. Perhaps you could even have your students practice by loading up your GPT with the knowledge base and then say, based upon this knowledge base, act as my opponent. You take this side, I'll take the other. And then you flip the sides and it fine tunes your debate. You are agentically in control of your learning journey. This is the hero's journey that every educator who's worth their salt wants for every student. This is how you get there, right? It's the curation, it's the iteration, it's having your students go through this valuable, grounded truth. So you're the curator to make sure there's no junk stuff in that trunk, right? You want to make sure that they don't have fake information in there. It's got to be the real law of the time. You've got to verify it. So you need to go through the citations and make sure that this is curated information. What I do, go to ChatGPT, give me the top 10 videos about copyright law, then go over to Gemini, have it check, make sure that's right. Is that the best? If they're wrong, if the link is wrong, fix it. Then I copy and paste those 10 in, and then I go searching for more. So educator's query is we're then asking questions of this. How else might I frame this up? What do I do with an audio overview and a library that speaks to me? I could have a conversation with the scrolls themselves. I can have flashcards if I want to memorize what is case law and how does this affect it? What is the philosophical points of view that we might be able to look at both sides? What do we do? How do we do a reaction paper? What world do you want to live in? Where that AI supersedes you in the capabilities of making videos autonomously? What laws might we pass to stop that from happening? To me, it's the Chinese law, the Chinese wall, excuse me. I want to put between us and the AI a wall so big and thick that says, this is human. Only we are creators. Only we have embodied experiences. The words I use for this is, we know the first kiss and the last goodbye. You never will, and we'll never let you. Because that means we put the blood, sweat, and tears into life. We are the storytellers. We are the ones that craft those stories into movies, into films. You can act as an agent to make sure that the costume design, as if I'm Steven Spielberg, is correct. But I am Steven Spielberg. I decide what you shoot, when you shoot it, what direction you do. I am the director of the AI, and that's the world we want to live in. So we're building a course. We're designing an educational experience, and then we're letting them go through that, and we're basing it upon they become librarians. The next thing is let them learn how to do this, learn how to take their curiosity, their creativity, and find new ways to do this. What's their next? What's your next? And what do you want as an educator? To plan and help them understand what their future as students and human beings is going to be, to help find their purpose in life, their ikigai. That's what this is. It's knowledge transference from all knowledge of humankind to design a future and an educational path that your students can drive on their own to their future of knowledge, understanding, and changing the world for the better. Every day, they get to become a better version of themselves. And you are Gandalf, knowing that trusting Frodo with the journey to save all mankind is your most noble pursuit. So it's time to step up and use this tool the profoundly beautiful way I've just demonstrated here and make a difference in the world. Prepare for your students' future, not for your past. We can't teach rote method memorization because all that stuff is already there. But we can be curators, librarians, ethicists, philosophers, thinkers, and we can make them the same. Critical, creative thinkers. And then I'll add this. The most important things for the future of all education: creativity, curiosity, critical thinking, and then social and emotional intelligence. And then finally, consensus building. Because without all of those factors, we as human beings are really nothing more than an AI bot controlled by them. With that, we are Steven Spielberg, crafting the future of the planet through the lens of our students' journey that we have but sent them on, and we put impediments in the way, not to break them, but to make them have friction so they earn it and they have an emotional experience of winning that debate against the ChatGPT, and that another ChatGPT on somebody else's phone has checked it and said, yes, I think Rick made the most amazing argument. And that person goes on to form policy informed by all the knowledge that we have. Imagine a world where that's how we live. That's Google Notebook, and I'm Rick McCawley, a dangerous man, an educator, and a human being. Thank you for watching. Now go forward and make this change happen in the world. Looking forward to it. All right, so here we are. So this is Google Notebook LM, and if you didn't see the previous video, you basically add your sources here. So this is my play. This is my Year Without Summer about Frankenstein and Dracula. Talked about it before. You can come in here and add sources. So you can upload any of these file formats. You can go right to your Google Drive and pull stuff right off of that. And if you're paying that $10 a month or $20 a month, you can get 300 sources. You can also take a YouTube video and it transcribes the entire YouTube video and pops it right in there, every single word. Then websites, Google Drive, copy text. Holy cow. Then if you're doing something really deep, you come over here and you say, search for deep research. So if you were to try to study about, tell me all about all large language models, you could just come in here, put a prompt in there, and it will literally find you 50 at a time. Or if you do a regular search, it'll search the web, or it'll search from your Google Drive or whatever. It'll research everything that you've ever put together. And then here in the middle, you've got your chat. This is Google Gemini, right? And you've got a citation of where it came from. So here is the overall interpretation: Year Without Summer, musical, existential, Hamilton-esque work intended to challenge modern society by showing the monsters born from a climate catastrophe 2 centuries ago are now metaphors for self-created crisis of our present. And there's the line that it comes from the paper that I wrote. This is my 99 summer catalog PDF talking about it. Ask any questions you want. It'll offer some questions down here. How did climate change impact this horror movie? It starts to answer that. Okay. Then you've got your audio overviews. I hope you're familiar with that. Video overviews. You've got your mind maps, which looks like this. And there's where you can go in, click on this. So there is the place, the challenge, the circle of people. So here's Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley, then Godwin, Lord Byron, who was the leader of this entire thing. There's John Pomodori. And if I go right here, it'll enter into the way that it starts to ask questions about that information. Boom. Now it's scanning that through all my sources, my grounded truth. That's crazy, right? And there's 54 sources. So now it's answering that. So let me go back. So the studio is audio overviews, video overviews, mind maps, reports, flashcards, quizzes. The reports also give you the ability to pick if you want to do a blog post, a study guide, a briefing document. And then it shows up suggestions it has. You can literally click on any of these, a thematic report, comparative analysis, character profile. Ooh, I want to do that. And then it's going to go make that for you right here. All right. The two new things, this one, infographic. I click on that. And right now you can get a very detailed infographic. You tell it what style and what you want to know. That's how I created all the stuff you just saw a minute ago. Holy cow. I'm out of credits or else I'd do it right now. Second thing, a slide deck. I'm going to show you what these are. So you basically print a detailed slide deck or clean visual slides with key talking points while you speak. That's presenter. Of course, I want the detailed because then you come down here and say, I want to use Nana Banana. I want to have it be comprehensive illustrations, infographic illustrations of the concepts, key concepts, and ideas across the 20 pages. All right, so that's kind of cool. So what's also cool about it, let's say that you used a prompt to get you a really good audio overview. So here's what I use. This should be a pitch deck for Lin Miranda talking about the next Hamilton, Hamilton being the birthplace of our country, the year without summer being the next play, blah, blah, blah. So here's what I actually copied and pasted in there. I just said what I wanted to know. When I did that, it created this audio video overview using Nana Banana. I'm going to show you in a second. But what I could also do is come up here and say, I could take that information. So I could view that custom prompt, copy, close it, come up here. Let me see if I have anything I can put in here and paste. Wow. Do I have credits? Ooh, we got my credits back. Okay. But I'm going to show you what it did. So first of all, it did the audio overview. Okay. What's cool about this? Okay, so that's pretty cool, right? And it makes the whole audio overview. They're typically about 7 minutes in length, and it talks about all the details of the play, and it comes up with you can pick your style. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let me go back and then take a look at this. This is my 4-act play. I said, give me an infographic about the 4 acts in my play. First, the event in Geneva where Lord Byron said to them, let's make scary monsters. So they dueled together. That would be the creation of Frankenstein and Dracula. At the time it was called Vampire. Bram Stoker turned it into Dracula. That's our birthplace of Frankenstein's monster. And then in after they make these archetypes, those two archetypes go out throughout their lives, and here they go. So Frank becomes a weapon. So every generation he's made a super soldier, and he's sacrificed, and he's built from all the dead body parts of sacrificed soldiers. Mothers who gave up for the greater good. Jack takes power and goes with it. And then you've got Act 3. So all of a sudden, Jack is the president of the United States after running for election. Frank is relieved of his duty because he's been cloned. All super soldiers are now AI robots and drones, etc. And so he's born, and he's able to have a child with Melody. His child's name is Phoenix. And then we go to the final act. Do you want to choose between one or the other? Okay, so that's it. That's my musical in a nut graph. But what's extraordinary, and you will not believe this, I swear to you, you won't. This is just from the same prompt. So this is the idea. The war that has always been, the archetype of Jack and Frank, is the battle between CEOs, kings, and dictators, and tech gods who wore different masks but drank from the same chalice, power without love. This is not just a story, it's a reckoning, a gospel of the future. So where did this take place? In 1815. Take a look at everything is spelled perfectly. This is freaking Nana Banana. The Mount Tambora erupted, put the entire planet Earth for a year into no sun. So the year without sun is the year without summer is this. So it was cold all over. It was snowing all over the world in the summertime. And then the people are dying. 100,000 people died. If you know about the world starved. So if you know about the potato famine, that's what happened. And then they're writing a ghost story. For God's sakes, what's going on? So the song is called Who Will Call Our Names? It's about the people that died, while these rich people are deciding what the fate of the world's going to be and what we should fear. So here's the idea. So this is beautiful. So when I present this, if I get a chance to, anybody know Lin Miranda, just tell him I got to play for him. That's the next Hamilton, but better. And it's going to be put in the spheres around the world. So she had 4 miscarriages. And she was she was young. So this portrait makes her look like she's really old, might be a little bit older. I dreamed that my little baby came to life again. That it had only been cold and that we rubbed it with the fire and it lived, awake and finding no baby. She lost her mother in childbirth, right? So this is this grief-stricken woman who writes about what she knew. And then Lord Byron's physician, John Pomodori, models his creature after the aristocratic predator that he served for, Lord Byron. So it was actually about him. It was not a polite thing. And originally he was quite ugly. And then, of course, Lord Byron was, the toast of the town. So that's kind of weird. So what's Frankenstein? He's the giver, born of the corpses of fallen soldiers and the grief of a mother. He represents the sacred feminine principle, empathy, nurturing, remembrance. He is the repository of every sacrifice ever made. I give more than I take. This is a word from the song. I build, I dream. For 7 generations, I plant the seed. That's my first character. Who's my second character? You guessed it. Jack, the immortal aristocrat of hunger. He's the taker, an eternal predator born of privilege and conquest. He represents the alpha male destruction paradigm, consumption, exploitation, and the belief that only the strong deserve to survive. From consuming blood to devouring data, his hunger is eternal. And then you get to see second act. This is them throughout history. So Frank has to die over and over again and be rebuilt by scientists to become a super soldier in every generation. And then what does Jack do? He becomes a slave owner in America. He becomes an industrialist in the robber baron era. He becomes an underground Nazi, becomes president. And then we get to decide what we do with this. And so what is this science behind Frank's change over time? The technology of the day. Galvanism was Mr. Galvin would show in the 1800s, he would put electrical current to a severed arm and the fingers would move. So they also learned how to do blood transfusions in 1818. So this is my research that I did, and I never really put everything together until I saw this graphic, and I'm like, holy cow, this is crazy. So in 1996, the mammalian cloning basically allowed him to get his wife when he died. His heart remembered Melanie. She was then sped up in time to be his wife, and they had a child. So they re-engineered all of his body parts. And then he gets a neural implant in 2025. Elon Musk, thank you very much for doing that. That's for real. And now he's going to become the machine of loving grace. Or you can pick the other one. So his whole idea, science perfected his body, a fight to reclaim his soul. He's a super soldier. And then there's, Jack Masters of every form, makes the stock market. And then there's a glimmer of paradise. And then the song, Good Night, My Phoenix, is sung. And then the battle is announced. And then what you have to do is think about, we're no longer discussing fiction. We're assembling a complex intelligence from desperate parts. The question is not if it will awaken, but what it will be. The emotional intelligence, the reality check, the machine of loving grace. Don't you want that? That takes care of you? He says goodnight to Phoenix because he has to go off and serve humanity. Or you want Jack, a tech mogul and presidential candidate, offers the other choice. You ask for me. People want a king. Kiss the ring. I am what you asked for. He brings dominance, efficiency, order, and a promise of safety and security in exchange for submission. And so that's the questions we have. And these are quotes from the plays, songs. And the story ends, the choice begins. One monster offers a future built on sacrifice and grace. The other offers the king we have always known. You have seen the choice presented on the stage. Now help us put it on the world's stage. And so this is actually from my plea, an existential Hamilton for the AI age. The Year Without Summer blends historical roots with an urgent contemporary threat. Like Hamilton, it reuses a revolutionary musical language to re-examine our origins and confront our future. It addresses the most pressing question of our time. As artificial intelligence outpaces us, who will we choose as our God? An overlord or an ally? The Year Without Summer. That's the final question. So here's the story. These are the songs. Who will call my name? Mary Shelley's Lament, The Blood of the Overlords, The Grace in the Machine, Phoenix Bedtime Stories, The Battle of Dominion or Grace, Kiss the Ring, Frankenstein's Promise, and The Observer's Questions. And the invitation is, this is your invitation. This is from me. I am the author. I wrote this from my bedroom using AI, observing Mary and Pomodori's original intent to grapple with the scientific and moral questions of our age. Now we must do the same for ours. Lin-Miranda, Hamilton changed how we see our past. This is a chance to change how we see our future, to reduce it, refine it, and change the world again. To our future partners, join us, crowdfund this thing, produce it. Let's make this choice resonate globally. The seventh generation will sing of what you became. Whew. Okay. That's me. That's me. That's significantly 10,000 hours of thinking and writing and going over. You could just see, this is just some of the documents that, and some of the historical references that I did by searching for those references. So it's me searching for this. And then it's just an elegant way that it put these ideas. So I redid it. And so take a look. It just made this version of it. And this is the same story, but with a completely different look and feel. So I directed the last one to be a Gothic style illustration. And there you go. That's Elon Musk on the right, by the way, if you didn't notice it, because it's aware of everything. Gemini 3.0 and Google Nano Banana inside of Notebook LM took all knowledge of everything about this idea and put it together in this eloquent, beautiful way to express these ideas. Born of catastrophe, disease, and despair, the global impact. And then here they are, and there's the characters, differently written because I prompted it differently. And then here's the parts. And then I could put this together because this is a PDF. The only thing I would love is to have it editable. So what I did is I exported the PDF. The words are all spelled right, so it's all there. And I can just keep iterating till I get it. Then I exported them all, and I'll show you the PowerPoint presentation I did. So I'm going to go a little bit long tonight. And Brandon, happy Thanksgiving to you, buddy. And I'm glad for you every single day. Meeting certain people in your life, you know, that this is, it got my phone number wrong at the bottom. But like, what a difference this is rather than the other one. And I could sit there and do the same thing. So the cool thing that you should do if you want to do this is look at the custom prompt. Take a look at what you did, and you can copy that. So if you like the consistency of the art style that you got, look up what art styles you want. I wanted a Gothic look and feel because it's 1800s, right? And I wanted to have that vintage look of paper, etc. So this time I did it differently. So this describes the pitch deck for Lin Miranda, and it's based upon this information. So I've done the outline and the stories and all that kind of stuff. And then now it can reevaluate that. Let me go take a look at some other ones. Here is Google Notebook. Here's just some of the topics I've been working on. And then let's take a look at, here's my really cool, this is Gemini. So today I ran out of credits, so I decided to do my life product. So I've got that going on here too. And I also have in ChatGPT, let's see if I can then go back out, take a look at what projects I'm working on. So I think I have Plato's Complete Works, Internet's Information War. So what do we know about that? So there's the information graphic about reclaiming truth, the trust in the Republican Party, and trust in the news. So here's ways to get back that code of conduct that was put in place. So in the 1994, it used to be that every news organization had to prove why they deserved a license from the FTC. That got rid of. They got rid of it. Anyway, so that's the graphic that comes from that bunch of knowledge you see over here on the left. And then here's the questions. And then you have also here, there is the conversation, a war in reality. And this is just a beautiful 20-point slideshow about fake news and the loss of confidence in our institutions. And who has the confidence? This is data. This is the real thing. This is a thesis level production and art speak. Look at the beautiful illustrations. Information overload is causing a fragmentation of the self. The relentless flood of conflicting, decontextualized information is not just a societal problem, it's a profound psychological effect. The phenomenon is being described as the narrative fragmentation disorder, NFD. This is a college course right here that's been researched, verified with citations. Of course, you have to clean the data on the way in, which I did. So I only brought in data I knew was correct from reliable sources. I didn't bring in junk. I usually start with a thesis about some important paper that's just been released by Claude's Anthropic, let's say. And they tried to test out what are the problem areas. And I have a political science degree from the University of Florida. I've got an MA in photography, so I've done stuff on that. And I'm a lifelong learner. And I've never learned as much as I have by just using this tool and seeing what it comes up with. And what a beautiful thing that is, right? So all knowledge, you can then go in there and then you can create these searches for the deep dive in that. And I'm going to go over John Berger and Susan Sontag. I want to go into that more. Adobe's copyright. Oh, check this one out. This one's insane. So ownership of generational wealth. This is the one I've been talking about for a long time. How do we monetize it? What is it? Creators? How I made that. I own that. How do I get paid? Guess what? Adobe has C2PA, blockchain. So there's the nutrition label, Content Authenticity Initiative by Adobe. And then I'm suggesting, what if you got automated micropayments? You had a bank that you had. And then what if that economic future is you can prove its human authorship and origins of value, and then take the music and the film, tag it, use blockchain to put it into the bank. So the Copyright Office is generational wealth. Your music, like Taylor Swift's music, is generationally funding 7 years after her death. Her artwork will be given to her grandchildren if she has them, and great-grandchildren. 70 years after her death, they will enjoy the economic windfall of her intellectual property. That's not true of everybody else, but it can be today. Direct-to-market distribution, even for the cheap spell. So everything can be fingerprinted using this original blockchain idea, and then let's make that our economy. So that's just the start thing. Then I went over here, and this is what it created. Holy cow. From corporate slavery to creative sovereignty, there is Prince with the word slave, which he actually did. Can't believe it actually made a picture of. I forever on Nana Banana, the first version, tried to get it to do a good, reasonable rendition of Prince with the word slave on it. I just put my content in. It didn't even ask a question. It just did it. And there's Napster moment where all of the friction of getting music to the public disappeared overnight. And what did the artists from music do about it? So this is, as a visual learner, the richest way you could possibly tackle extraordinary ideas. I've done 150 of these deep dives already. And I'm going to, every day for the rest of my life, just keep making more. And if you want these, I'm going to put them on a website and allow you as a professor about any subject to take this along with outlines, tests, grades, and then go up there and just get knowledge your own that I've designed for you. I'm creating a library like Alexandria could only dream of true, certified. And I'll ask every educator to use AI in this way to get knowledge in the hands of visual learners, audio learners, and people that need to be helped in understanding through metaphor, through Socratic methods of debate. Let's
Hey, Rick.
change how we educate the future.
Hey,
Are you
Rick.
getting going? Yeah.
I'm loving this. This is great. But I think those dinosaurs have a better chance of surviving this tool time than your voice. So it might be time to land that plane and
Okay.
hydrate, my friend.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna say goodnight to you all. And but like this is what I'm gonna present to Adobe. This is literally everything that I'm suggesting, everything that I put into my ideas, the monetization steps, the way to use this. Look at this beautiful illustration. I mean, this is just like she becomes the champion. And there's Billie Eilish. The greatest gift Adobe can give to humanity is ownership. And they've already done it. And just help them get the rest of the way. So that's what a spectacular tool this is. This is knowledge. This is your access to all knowledge from all humanity. And I thank you for your time. And happy Thanksgiving to you all and to the world. Tool time. But before we get into that, I want to talk about what I've been doing lately. And one of the things is to reinvent and actually get a little bit more deeply into what is going to become AITV Starship. I'm Rick McCawley, a dangerous man. I'm also Rick, the AI guy. And so to start off with, this is just a little fun I had recently, starting to figure out how do we re-identify ourselves, and perhaps maybe video is our future.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm your host, Rick McCawley, the dangerous man.
So that was done with VIO within Crea.ai, which is an aggregator of all things. And then I started to go into a deep dive because I wanted to figure out where should AI TV Starship go. It all started because YouTube announced all new rules as to how you get engagement. You know what they said? We want more human. We don't want AI slop. And guess what Brandon and I do? We create human baby. So we're superhuman and we're Starship guys, and so we're astronauts. So I went on a deep dive and I loaded up every single one of the episodes. So here's how you do it, just so you know. This is how you can do it at home. I went with Comet as my browser, and I said, here's my AITV Starship channel. I opened up YouTube right there in the browser, and I said, copy and paste every AITV Starship episode. And there were 16 at the time, right, when I did this. And I said, turn it into a return carriage after each URL that you paste into a box. So it did that. I copied and pasted that into Google Notebook LM, which I'll show you in just a minute. And what it gave me was the entire transcripts of every single word we ever said. Then I did a separate one for tool time, and then I produced a manifest, basically a Starship mission log or debriefing that I turned into this. So this is the first frame of what was an outline. So here's what my prompt was. So what you're going to find out today in this Google Notebook LM deep dive is that we're going to, and tool time, is it's going to be an episode where we talk about how you get what you just saw and the rest of the visuals I'm coming up with. So what you're doing is you're basically saying, you've got this large amount of information. And I want to, and that's all of our YouTube videos, okay? So it's grounded truth. It's not going to hallucinate. But here's what Nana Banana can do. It has the eyes and the knowledge of all things. So if you were, it knows what a starship looks like. And if I describe it as something like, Starship Enterprise or whatever, and this invented, of course, its own thing. It knows what, Cloud Nebula looked like in outer space, etc. So it knows what I'm going for. Now, the corpus information, though, that it's working from is my information. So then it produced this. So I asked it to make 3 panels that talked about the news segment, the deep dive, and the tool time. There you go. So if you take a look at it, it said, and I said, bring up the 4 major topics from each of those 3 domains. All right. So I am handcrafting and directing like frickin' Steven Spielberg, again, one of my favorite directors, for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, so on the left, the great AI job shift, 2020, 30% of job workforce will be reskilled, 55 to upskill for existing roles, blah, 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 right? This is stuff right from our show. Project Immigration OS Hackathon, a 3-person, and so it didn't quite get that exactly right. The 10,000 Minute Mindset, his book, right there in the middle project, right? The power of prompting personas. So the different hats that different large language models, that's right from our episode log. Holy cow. And then on the right, so if you've got a business, imagine loading up everything about your business that you've ever wanted to. And we're not talking about 1 copy of Harry Potter. We're talking about 1,000 copies of the Harry Potter books. Holy cow. And images. And by the way, it didn't quite get the logo from our AITV show. I think I should have loaded up more versions of our slide deck, and there's no place to put that in, but I can still go after I get to this point and do some more prompting. So here's just an example. So I started watching David Shapiro. So we're going to introduce you to the people that we follow. In tonight's episode, we're going to talk about David, and you can find him at YouTube at Dave Shap. You can see he did this really, really amazing deep dive in post-labor economics. So what did I do? I copied the URLs using Comet. That's the secret trick. So if I had to, and this is what I did on my phone before, I'd sit there and watch the post-labor economics episode 1, lecture 2, lecture 3, lecture 4. This guy is absolutely genius. And he's actually being recognized. He's getting 69,000 followers. This is old right here, 167,000 followers on his first lecture. He's dealing with some really big people and having great people on his shows. He's a real thinker. He's also kind of a fun guy. Now, if you're really deep into this, this is the guy you want to follow. So we're going to recommend every episode a new person to follow. this is the person for today. If you're really an intellectual and you're really interested in post-labor economics and to get the inside baseball into what's going on. So what did I do with that? So I took a look at a recent episode of what he did, and I said, where is the AI race going? And it's going to nowhere. So what did I prompt? So I loaded up all that information, and it was from a different video. It was from the group from Peter Diamandis and his What the F is Going On Moonshot show, right? And the information was about who's going to win this AI race. And Google with its deep pockets. And so I said, do it in the style of a political cartoon. Holy cow. This is just one of the slides. So you have the real information that's grounded in the truth of all of these TV shows that I just copied and pasted some URLs. Now I've got the secret sauce of doing it so fast. I did 300 of these, what I call complete decks. So what that means is I made an infographic. I made this, which is a slide deck. That's what they call it within the output of Google Notebook LM session. You load up 1,000 pieces of content. You go in there and you query what you want to focus on. And then you go over and you say, hey, make me a slide deck in the style of a political cartoon. Make sure you make all references to all of the parts of this. In fact, I'll ask in the middle chat area, tell me the top 10 or 15 things that should be on slides that I'm going to have illustrated. Then I simply put the style at the top, and it knows that it's going to talk about these things. So Google's going to win, as we came up with. And that was partly where my start point was. But why is it a problem? Okay, so let's go deeper. This is slide number 2. This is just 2 out of 15. So you got Anthropic over there with ethical glider, clean energy, clean conscious, and constitutional AI smooth sailing. You've got Grok down there with crazy rocket ship energy. You've got the Sequoia Fund, but and A16Z. I think that's something else. The AOI power meter, dangerously high. A mad dash for supremacy, sanity, and survival in the age of superintelligence. And what does Google have? Deep Mind, the cure of all diseases. And then who else is coming? Wow. Okay. So this is a complete understanding of things. So here's one. The bangers, the prize, not just their trophy, but the keys to the future, right? So I had it look at who's going to be the world dominator, China or us? What's the economic prize? All things will be AI. There's the AI compute is everything. When the price comes down to zero, what does that mean? Holy cow. And then solving all humanity's problems. So that's just the beginning. This is slide number 4. Wow. So what is the problem? The regulatory gauntlet, a winding road of antitrust lawsuits, policy hurdles, success requires navigation. Wow, antitrust. So the source, antitrust remedies, United States versus Google. Holy cow. I didn't know this. In fact, I didn't pay close enough attention. But now, if you're an educator, this is a gold mine of ideas and thoughts visually explained. So you know me, I'm a visual person. So for this, I just can't. So then I said, it's part of my prompt. Let's talk about each one of the people that are ahead of the race. What's their problem? What's their solution? So they have the strength of the pole position with the most people. They have unprecedented SoftBank money, which they're now trading, and that's a house of cards. We're out of GPUs and compute powers, and so there's an apocalyptic crash going to happen. They're going to fail because you can only pour in so much money and lose so much money before you reach your AGI escape velocity and you make it worthwhile. So they're not being safe. So they're putting money in the back of their Stargate situation. All right, so Google, why is it number 1? Erasure number 2. It's got deep mind. It's going to cure everything, right? It's got built-in infinite amount of fuel because it scraped all of YouTube. So it's got the TPUs, which it tensor processing units. That's how it makes its own large language model. The only hurdle, as you can see in the way, is antitrust lawsuits, which they're about to roll over. And then they've got all kinds of other things. So they got a vertical integrated stack of search engine and all this stuff. Oh my God, this is great. And then what is racer number 3? It's Grok, baby. Look in the bottom left-hand corner just for a second. You can't miss her. She is a not for safe woman, let me tell you. Not safe for work woman that you can do. Now, I've gotten in there and I've made a few animated things that I won't speak about on the show because there might be, Brandon's children's watching. But, the volatility strategy is heavily tied to one individual's vision and whims. So it's kind of crazy. So you got OpenAI and Stargate and Google. It's a late to the starting line, but it has Grok 5 coming out soon, I think, in the new year, early on. And he says he's already got AGI solved and he's moving past. So then who's Anthropic? Oh, my goodness. It's a machine of loving grace. It's a lower public height. It's probably going to get bought out by somebody. But it's a constitutional AI. And if you don't know what this means, it means that it's based upon aligning itself with principles and core values that safety is first, ethical treatment, that you're using the thing. So the machine of loving grace, if you're not familiar with it, you're going to hear me talk about it all the time. Dario Amodei wrote this paper called The Machine of Loving Grace. If you don't read it, I read it every once in a while. Once a month, I read it to remind myself why we're creating this and how we're creating it ethically. What are we going to do this so we don't kill ourselves? Everybody else is off to the races, baby. And this is the only one person that's really doing the philosophy at the core is an ethical way of pursuing this. So are they too cautious to win? Well, they've got coders out of business, a kind of a side effect they probably didn't really intend. But again, even with the best intentions and with an ethical constitutional built AI. So here's a deep dive with just a bunch of images that are part of a slide deck. And all I did is say, give me a political cartoon. What is a political cartoon? Well, I know this because I teach illustration class. And I tell my students, if they're going to illustrate a very complicated political problem, go find who's talking about in the political cartoon. So I worked at the Miami Herald. We had a Pulitzer Prize winning cartoonist. Jim was a political cartoonist who won a Pulitzer Prize because it's a way to visually manifest all the ideas of complicated news things. So I thought to myself, that's a style I got to use. And I got to teach educators how to use it. Because look what you've just learned that you probably didn't know. And if you look at these, and I'm going to be gifting these as a downloadable PDF in future episodes, all of this content. In fact, if you watch 1 hour or a whole episode, I will make sure you get access to all of everything I've ever done as my gift to you for being the fuel that makes this engine run. We want to privilege educators. We want to make sure that you understand what's going on in your world that you're responsible for. We want to make sure that we're of service to the world because that's what dangerous men and women do. Dangerous people make sure that they get in the way of people that are doing bad things to stop it, that they stand up for their rights. So you've got the Google handbrake. So what's the problems that they have going on? They're running out of gas at OpenAI. The US versus Google is a problem for Google. So the finish line isn't a better chatbot. It's an autonomous workforce. That's what they're trying to do. And are they going to get rid of all the jobs in the meantime? So that's been a deep dive. And then it gets even further. So this is just a slide deck of 15 slides from one prompt. Holy cow. And one TV show, one YouTube show. So if I can do that, and then here's another one, right? I mean, it just keeps on giving. So there's the whole story, the power thing, the trip to AGI City, the brute force gambit. It did brute force twice, which I thought was funny. But this type is all readable. You might not be able to read it, but you can download it later as I'll make it available. So here's even an analysis of who's doing what and who's in the lead. Take a look at Google, almost 3 stars in every category. Antitrust is its only Achilles heel. Whew, okay. And then the race for AGI won't have a single victor, but will forge a new world order. Consumer favorite, OpenAI. The open standard, Who knows? Google, the enterprise dominance. And maybe Google buys Anthropic, and wouldn't be that the greatest gift to all world? So it's already got ethics. It's already got, Google has DeepMind, which is Dennis Hassabis of DeepMind, who gave us protein folding, which is already getting ready to cure cancers and everything else. Every malady known to human beings, they are on their way to solving it. And they're part of that same Google atmosphere, a world I want to live in. You throw in a sprinkle of Dario Amadeus and Machine of Love and Grace, that's my one I want to bet on. So I'm putting this together into a book we talked about last week. This is a one-shot prompt with Nana Banana loading up my pictures. And we talk about what human beings are. That's the illustration you see on the right. This will be a print magazine. I'm going to come out once a month with the best thoughts and everything that I'm doing. And with short little stories like this idea of the 20-watt miracle. This picture on the left is the cover of the magazine. It's going to be called Imagine a World, after my LLC, Imagine a World Productions, which is my for-profit to drive my nonprofit, Imagine a World Foundation. So Imagine a World Foundation is going to take the money from all of my gifts, and that is the gifts of this magazine, which will be distributed freely as a PDF with links to other things like videos, explainers, audio overviews, etc. Or you can buy the print magazine, and there will be QR codes that you see here to access the wealth of valuable information. That's a deep dive on any topic you want. The first episode is going to be the 20-watt miracle, and it walks through how human beings can be broken down into 3 parts. Thinking. We do a lot of thinking, metacognating. We're thinking about thinking. That's what differentiates us from other human beings. Secondly, we feel deeply. If we're artists, we feel so deeply and so profoundly. We have interactions with other people that tell the stories. This is what AI cannot do. It's not embodied. It doesn't truly feel the first kiss and the last goodbye. So this was a deep dive I've been working on for over a year now, as I want to decode what it is between us and AI. What domain is ours? It's feeling. It's feeling deeply to make music. So I use AI to amplify and give me a beautiful songwriter with a heart of gold and 66 years of life experience. Gives me the ability to make finished, quality, reproducible, on the radio quality music that I can show to someone. What am I going to do with that? I'm actually going to gift all my music to the world. I'm going to take 40% as the songwriter. I'm going to give the rest to allow musicians and singers to perform it. Whoever does the best human performance of my song will get 60% of my royalties going forward forever. So I want to be the writer of the song, the origin point, and I want the world to take the AI out, and that everything I produce will be a gift, that person will be enjoying the profits of my intellectual property. This is a paradigm I want all of you to use. If you're a great musician, but you need it to help you get a singer so that you can get a human to replace you, this is what I've started to do. And I've started a program tonight that we'll take a look at. By the new year, I'm going to be launching a website that will make all my music available to you with the stems, so that what you can do is you can use it as a bed to practice. And if you release the song and you get the most number, so if 10 people decide to take the song, if some famous person comes along and grabs it and gets 100,000 listeners to the song, they get to 60% of the profits of it, because I'll have it copyrighted, but only for the words, and I'll let you have the rest. That person's going to then have the full copyright for the rest of it, and they will share for eternity the engine that drives Imagine a World Foundation. So what do we do with our 20-watt miracle, and what does that refer to? That's how much energy your brain requires, 20 watts. You've seen what the terawatts involved in a large language model. Imagine what we can do with more and less, because we can feel and we have an embodied experience. We can never let it know what a first kiss or a last goodbye is. We can never let it want or need or be part of the 7 deadly sins that we have to control and harness to drive us to what we do. The wanting is a good thing in the hands of an artist who wants to take pain and make beauty out of it. So that's my promise and my mission. A premium magazine to have premium thoughts delivered to you so you could do the same thing. So I'm doing it for educators as well. So I'm preparing for a professional development for my fellow educators to use Google Notebook in the same way that I do. Here's Amanda Bickerstaff, who I've known and talked to. She's the CEO of AI for Education. She's about 1 million educators she's educated on her platform. I was going to be part of it, but I'm just going to visit her and respect her and talk about her. Sal Khan, you might know as the CEO of Khan Academy. All this is from that prompt you just saw a second ago, as I'm going to show you. It's, can you make a beautiful render of a classroom board and on an infographic, colorful chalk, sketches of each of the greatest minds in artificial intelligence education today? Sal Khan, Jason Glitta, Thomas Thompson, Amanda Bickerstaff, etc. It didn't get all the people that I suggested, but I said, find the most amazing people. And I knew Dan Fitzpatrick. That's not a great picture of him. I'll go back and fix it before I show it to anybody. But what are they doing? They're teaching us how to evaluate, to verify, to when you use the AI, what is it going to do for us? And there's a beautiful illustration, and there's a classroom on the edges of this chalkboard. Wow. Innovators, mind and machines, the innovators shaping AI in education. And this is how they're using the AI bots. And then here's another but weird, different way to look at it. So this is to talk about propaganda in the age of AI. So I am using Russian constructivism style, Shepard Fairey propaganda style, giant posters on brick walls, illustrating the visually rich, metaphorical, detailed paper posters with age from the 1940s about misinformation, propaganda in the crisis for the real, and the biological 1984 George Orwell, Nightmare of Truth and Sad Poem. I mean, you can read it, right? And then this is what I got. In fact, I even asked for it to use Rosie the Riveter. Where did this thinking about visuals come from? Spent my entire life teaching 25 years. I know who Rosie the Riveter. In fact, I teach propaganda classes. I did a whole thesis paper about the swastika, and that it was a shape that was thousands of years old. In North America, Native Americans had the swastika on their cave walls. In India, it goes back for centuries. All over the world, it was a sacred object. In fact, in 1930, here's a weird fact for you. It was on the boots, the sneakers made for Cub Scouts of America right before the war. And then all of a sudden, it got hijacked. Anyway, so I know visuals, and I talked about Adobe's content authenticity, the champion, and the dense truth, the propaganda playbook, centralize the message, propagandize it, weaponize the state. So I loaded up all the content of this conversation, and then I did the same thing again, and I made this. This is a class that I want to produce for real. I'll go into a deep dive as we do a whole episode about humanity's final exam. So I imagine this as Harvard, Yale, MIT, and Oxford, and every institution across the world, all teaching at one time a reflection about humanity's final exam. Are we ready? Have we learned as we create a God who will be more intelligent than us? Are we going to let it take over what we do? So I started this process, and we'll deep dive on this, but basically, this was a course outline for a 16-week course. The first 4 weeks is history. What do we need to know about it that we need to take with us? How do we get rid of propaganda? How do we get rid of all these problems that are happening in the world? So it's taught by multidisciplinary thinkers around the world. And then we look at the old game as being broken. We figure out how to fix it. So it's re-engineering. How do we do in war? Not so good. How do we do in politics? Horrible. It's getting worse. How's our planet? Not so good. So then we take a look at what social engineering has done to us, and we find ways to deconstruct what it did and see what we can do to make it better. So we're going to go deep dive in that, and the solutions basically will then be aggregated. So week the third 4 weeks, it'll be a debate of the entire world coming up with solutions. And they'll be presented to the world to an AI overseer that aggregates the best ideas, makes them into policy that the UN might want to adopt, makes into policy as to how we fix social media, how we fix the United States government. So the entire world can take what we learned from our mistakes throughout all history. And as we get to this fork in the road where AI accelerates past us, wouldn't it be fantastic if every brain, every thinking person on the planet aggregated to make the solutions before it's too late? And that we approach a machine of loving grace and not an extraction economy where the rich are richer than ever before in history and the poor are not getting a fair break. And our Constitution is not being respected, but defiled like some sort of Jeffrey Epstein event happened to it. So here we are, and that's my promise to you. This is an illustration, just one illustration from my book about the Frankenstein and Frank and Jack taking over his AI. So this is my Sphere event. This is from my play, The AI Guy. Tonight, yes, we're going to go back to NotebookLM. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. And tonight, I'm talking about all the different projects I've done, literally 300 in the last week alone. And that means I've made infographics, I've made an audio overview, or video overview, I should say, and we'll take a look at some of those. And I've made slide decks for each one of them. Just to get you started, Dario Amandei's idea of a machine of loving grace, that AI can be aligned with us for our greater good, brought me to take this image of myself and to upload a picture, a majestic, benevolent angel spreading large wings, holding flowing ribbon banner, reading machine of loving grace. On the left side, the dark, stormy clouds with personifications of gluttony and greed, offering sweets and temptations. On the right side, radiant golden light, illuminating a diverse group of gentle angels representing the global humanity and virtue. High detail, dramatic lighting, museum quality masterpiece. And I think I added a golden frame. And look at this. This is Gemini. I uploaded that one picture of my face, and look at what it gave me. So the Renaissance style is what I'm suggesting that it do. There is greed and avarice and gluttony and all the rest of the 7 deadly sins on the left. So this was a project I did on what is our impediment? What's wrong with us? So the deep dive in my intellectual thinking that I do at least 2 or 3 hours every night before I go to bed, as I say, how do we align ourselves so that we get rid of? In fact, I think we should evolve past the 7 deadly sins. They were there born of a purpose. So the idea of a man, a biological man in the Cro-Magnon days, is you drag as many women into the cave so that you could have the most offspring, so you could be the most successful in spreading your seed. Well, that doesn't work for us anymore, unless you're Donald Trump, of course. And of course, he's worthy of every single one of the 7 deadly sins, and he's the poster child for them. But I think that's what stops us from being better humans. So what are gentler angels? So Machine of Loving Grace, if you don't know about this, was not only a song back in the 60s, but it was also as we move in through technology. So I've been talking about this and thinking about this in all of my music and all of my plays and all of who I am, is to be born of the purpose, to always give and share, to be of service to the entire community and the world, to have moonshots like we just witnessed that I'm landing, and I need your help to do it, is to be the better version of myself every day. This is my born ikigai. This is me looking at my background and knowing that inside of me is the serotonin hit of wanting to have more money and have more women and have more this and have more that. Eat too much. All right. That's why I'm a type 2 diabetic. So I'm guilty of these, but it's time that we, as we build this God-like character, the artificial intelligence that we've made, that we align it to work for us, to speak to our greater angels of our idea. So this is how I couched it. So I started thinking about the news of today, right? And so I saw someone posting that China has a new law already enforcing it, mandating that all AI-generated content must be clearly and technically labeled. So this is how I'm using large language models. I'm using Gemini in this case, And I fed this article that was on an Instagram post that listed these 3 different things. So the second one is the EU Act, full force 2026, next year, requires AI generators to add a machine readable truth label to any synthetic content with fines of 15 million euros for failure to comply. So that means Facebook, if they want to do business over there, is going to have to put that label on there. They have gotten away with hell in this process. Then California has AB 853. That's a game changer, stated to come out in 2027. It's a state law that has global implications. It makes it illegal for large platforms to knowingly strip out the provenance data. So Adobe's content authenticity, the C2PA that Adobe makes, that indelibly puts in there a truth label, say this is made AI, and it keeps a provenance list if you add AI augmentation to it, already in force on LinkedIn. Every picture as you upload it on LinkedIn has a CP in the top corner if it was AI generated, like this picture you see on the right. So how do I get to this illustration? Let's take a look at who's here. So the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, is in a top hat because I asked for it. So I first go over to Gemini and I do research on these 3 things. And I produced over 30 pages of documentation about what the laws are, how that trend is happening, how Adobe's efforts, which to this point have gotten buy-ins by 90% of the planet. But the evil Meta, who because of the 230 law during the Clinton administration has immunity. So they strip the data out. Now, there is data you want to strip out. Your home address. If a picture of your kid shows up, you certainly don't want them to be able to find your child. Cool. But the metadata that says this is an AI-generated image, that's a goldmine for Meta as far as profits. They strip it out on purpose, so you go looking for, is this a real picture or not a real picture? So the idea is this truth in nutrition. So this is how Adobe talks about this. It's a nutrition label to tell you if this content is AI or if it's just photograph or where its origin is. And it keeps a provenance list to see what tools you used on top of it. Provenance is a word that comes from owning art. Who owned the Degas before you bought it for $10 million? And then what happened to it next? And how does it trace back to Degas as this being an authentic piece of artwork? That's the proof we need in a world full of fake news. So I added Meta, the black shirted person who scraped out their identity so you don't know who they are. I added the white hat hackers in the back end trying to fix this. Also, Gemini has joined Adobe. They have, when you create this image on the right, they have their own hashing, which is an indelible watermark that goes into it. You remember the Napster moment, and they tried all these techniques and tried to add copyright protection so you couldn't, hack it. And then, of course, Napster shows up and strips off that content. That's the lawlessness we're at right now. Why? Because it makes profit for Meta and companies like it who are extracting from our knowledge and are taking advantage of our dopamine centers to have you sitting there like crack cocaine and getting on TikTok and just watching one after another. So I made this image. I had a Chinese woman there. I had the EU AI Act, a soldier over there, a knight in shiny armor. So I vibe coded this into existence and I say, make it like a truth, a barcode that's on a product that's signed to say this is nutritious or not. So that's my thought process as an illustrator. I teach illustration design. So then I started, and again, every morning I start with an idea that I see from a long time ago. So I was around in 1980. I forget which edition this was. This is take a good look at this woman. She was created by a computer for a mix of several races. What you see is a remarkable preview of the new face of America, how immigrants shaping the world's first multicultural society. So at that time in the 1980s, when this edition came out, trying to put this together was a monumental feat with a mainframe computer to do it. And it averaged out these headshots of all these people based upon the demographics of who was in the United States and the change in Hispanic nature. You can see the kind of movement there. And then we're talking about bias. And this is something I did for my class back when Gemini first came out. They wanted to make fair and equitable. So if you ask for a housekeeper, you want to give people from every different ethnicity, even though you know maybe that the percentage of housekeepers are in majority Hispanic, especially in South Florida, and they're in their 40s. You don't want to do that bias, right? So I ask it to, so this is what was generated back when Gemini first came out with their own model. Now I've forgotten what that model was called, if you remember. But it produced, when asked for a picture of a 1943 German soldier, it gave a black man and an Asian woman. Impossible. Or a black man when I did it in Adobe's Firefly. So then, fast forward, I'm sitting at a meeting, and this is about 2 years ago when Firefly came out, and they were talking about bias. They were talking to educators, a room full of educators talking about how can we use this thing? It hallucinates all the time and it has bias. So the little story over there to the right is Adobe came out with a whole, they spent, I don't know, thousands of hours of engineering to get this right. So while I'm sitting there on my phone, I open up Firefly, and I worked on the team. Actually, it was my laptop. And while they're talking about this, I prompted it to make a photograph of 5 women, 5 people, nurses. I said 5 nurses in a hospital setting, professional photo shoot. I didn't say, give me the demographics of the United States. But simultaneously, I went to ChatGPT and I said, give me the demographics for nurses registered in the United States to be nurses. Here's the breakdown. Female, 86%. Male, 14%. White, 65.3%. That's why you've got, and then Black or African American, Latino, 9.6, Asian, et cetera, et cetera. And it gave me this image because Adobe engineered at least some compliance to get it to look right. So then I decided to go deeper, and I thought, what is all the bias? So a friend of mine posted this picture. He used 3 different large language models. Little did he know Nana Banana was behind them. And he just looked for a picture of a woman. It produced this picture on the left. So I asked, what is the machine average? That means that the lion set of database of images are mostly, because the internet is, mostly European-centric or American-centric, mostly white people, privileged in the majority. So it's trained on images that are of white people, that the average woman is a green-eyed white woman you see on the left. So the training bias based on Lion 5B, which is the big language model, and that's another story for another day, but it was created as a nonprofit organization. So all of the models trained on it, Midjourney, everybody. And then other things like Midjourney started to gather more images. Then they started to consume their own content. As people uploaded pictures, they trained on that. So if you look at what the average is based upon what I call the machine's AI Eve. So this is Eve. If she was a woman, she is the training bias 63% white European, 11% African American, or African, Black and African. South Asian, less, greater than 5%, East Asian 3%, Hispanic, Latino 2%. And that's what you get. If you ask for President of the United States, of course, you get a white male, because that would be accurate to the demographics. So bias is created by what you're trained on. So if you didn't know this already, it misidentifies Black women all the time for committing crimes. So if a police department's got a Black woman in custody, they can't tell if this is the right one or not, because the language model was not trained on Black women. It had plenty of Black men and white men inside incarceration, photographs stolen or taken from scraping all that data. But if I ask AI, as I did, to create the human Eve, that's based upon 59% Asian, South East and Asian, African 17%, European white 10%, Latin American 8%, and then 4%. This is a reflection of our planet. This is our every woman, our human.
Hey, Rick, we've lost your screen share, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Where'd you lose it when I was?
I had stepped away for a second. I came back and it was just you, no NotebookLM. So I wanted to let you know.
Oh, no idea where it went off screen?
Not that long ago, because I didn't step away for that long. But
okay.
Let
me get this back up. So
looks like maybe about the past 5 minutes, according to Claire.
oh, okay. Thank you. So you saw that it's fixable. Adobe showed that it's at least engineerable out, so it at least closely looks at the demographics, and that is a problem, right? So here is on the left the AI Eve. So this is the training data that gave it the bias that it's only seen that. Now I grew up in Japan. I never saw a black person until I was 10 years old. In Japan, there weren't any, right? In fact, we were a family of a redhead and a blonde, my two sisters, and we almost capsized a ferry on the way to Okinawa because they had never seen, first of all, white people. And second of all, this is 1959, 1960. They had never seen a blonde and a redhead for sure. So then I went to Greece for 4 years. My dad was in the military, come back. So I'd never seen a black person. So what is my demographic knowledge and my relationship? I happened to go back into 1968 in Alabama in busing crisis and everything else at the height of a very dramatic period of time. And then I had to figure out what was going on in America and how could they be so cruel to somebody because of their skin color, et cetera. Never understood that, still don't. But there you go. So that's our reality. It's based upon what we know, but it can be fixed and can be engineered out. So this is a Google Notebook LM. This is an infographic from the AI bias engine and the human author. This looks at what you scrape from the internet. So as an educational piece, take a look at this. So I went into Google Notebook LM and I loaded up all the videos I could find about bias and what different kinds there are and what it has to do with with AI and the generation of images. So I put in my pictures of the nurses you see down at the bottom from Adobe and the historical figures that are white male in the 1943 German uniforms. So it had that context, and it said large language model privileges blindness, cognitive bias, availability heuristics,
Hey, Rick,
historical
we've lost your screen share again. I don't know what's going on with your tabs, but we've lost it again.
Okay, maybe I share just the PowerPoint. Would that help, you think? Let me see. I don't see the PowerPoint as a window. Yeah, I'll share this. I don't have any audio. Let's see if that works better. Is that showing now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it basically took all the information I gave it, made an infographic and I included the AI Eve training average internet bias and the world Eve planetary average real world data, generated an image of my dream woman. So this is what I said. I said, have AI make it. So there's the people, the human intervention, the fixers of the black box. So this is all the data from my conversations that I had about that picture you had before and my stuff from Adobe, all loaded as one PDF that I loaded into Notebook LM. That's my grounded truth. And then I ask it to create the scenario, a cartoon version. So the stylistic part is this is a cartoon illustration showing off the contextual and metaphorical representation of what bias is and how it can be fixed and re-engineered. Have a man, and so the description is have a man looking to generate a picture of a woman that is going to be his dream date, my aspiration and my mirror, etc. So I just did that, and then this is what you got. And there are, let's tweak the safety filters, let's balance representation, define fairness. Well, what is fairness? Oh my God, there's 7 different types of bias. There's the sort of bias that if you ask for a picture of a president of the United States, of course, it's going to give you a white man. Why wouldn't it? Because there's, and no women for sure, unless you over woke it. And that's the term I use, is woke to the point of insomnia. So insomnia means that you're woke all the time and that's all you talk about. That's another episode. But this is an existentially deep, philosophical, master's thesis level rendering of an idea that by putting in the smart conversation of what I did previous and then telling it to generate an infographic, kind of knowing where I wanted to go. So it's me in 66 years of teaching and understanding how to make information graphics that are representational. So here's the secret takeaway for you. Tell it what you want. If you want something like this, give me an informational graphic that postulates all the 6 different concepts represented in this large amount of data. give me in a cartoon informational graphic form so it's fun to look at and understand. Use a color palette, or say, as you'll see later, one of my favorite new one is a dark Renaissance mixture of existential threat. That's my new style prompt that get me something else. All right, so I'm going to go through all this. This is the FEMA project that we talked about last week. Sorry. And there's the Life Force, which we'll go over in a couple of weeks. And this is vibe coding the application. Okay, so we saw that last week. And then this is what I've been doing for Upskill USA. I don't know if we got to this last week or not, but there's kind of the 5 levels of exposure you have to losing your job. And we'll talk about that again another week. Let me get to the part here. Okay. So this is a Google Notebook LM. So what are the 5 threat levels on the left? And then I asked for what are the 5 workforce domains that upskilling outcomes can help you a lot, or what kind of assessment? And then on the right, deployment of flow. So the professors teach employers, teach employees, and then national outcomes. And then the whole thing is in the middle. What am I trying to do with Upskill USA for the GI Bill for the AI age? So this is from my data. This was from the same data. This I asked for, what are the great humanities final exam? And I thought of, think of these people like Denis Hassabis, who has 9 lives. So here I said, create 8 lives, 8 events in Denis Hassabis. So I loaded up all the videos. So you go into your Discover tab in your source material, and you say, find me all the stuff about Denis Hassabis, his entire life. And I knew a few things like AlphaGo, that he was a chess player at age 13, world-class champion. And I knew because I found a whole, in fact, it just came out. It's an entire video for free on YouTube of his entire life, from when he started till now, winning a Nobel Prize. And I think he's now Sir Denis Hassabis. And he saw protein folding, AlphaFold. He also did AlphaGo, which is the Sputnik moment, move number 37. So this is the source of data I put into Google Notebook LM. And then I said, make an infographic and give me 8 lives, 8 major events that he have. And then my idea was, these are called the immortals. The 9th live is what they leave behind when they pass, a changed world. So we rise as stars. Imagine that if you could find 8 ways to reinvent yourself, as he did, in such glorious ways. I feel like I've reinvented myself by doing this app that we talked about tonight. And I've got a bunch more lives. Hopefully, at 66 years old, I've had some amazing achievements in my life that led me to what I hope is going to be a beautiful life and a legacy and a starship like Denis Hassabis, and then Alan Turing, and Yuval Noah Harari, and Fei-Fei Li. And so these are the immortals, people who had 8 lives, 8 nexus points in their lives. And I'm going to trace it. So this is going to become a book. In fact, I should probably, and then Jesus, what were his 8 lives that led to it? So I know what I wanted to do. And I know the 9th one would be the, in his case, is the resurrection and ascension and the living on forever in stories. Marcus Aurelius and Friedrich Nietzsche, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These were all created in Notebook LM by making profiles of these people. I started most of these just in ChatGPT. Yeah. Lost it again?
No, I just wanted to give you a quick time check. We're coming up right at the top of the hour. So okay. If you want to keep going, you're more than welcome to. But it sounded like we were maybe getting ready to land that plane and head on out of here for the night. Yeah,
so what I'm going to share with you next is styles. So I've probably got another 5 minutes to go. Styles are like this. And so what I did is I said,
so I'm going to head on out, but
okay.
You have a great rest of your night, and namaste, as you say. We'll see you next week.
As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, sir. And thanks for helping me land that plane on that project, a major project. So here's the takeaway for you. So you load up all the information, use the Discover tab to get more information about whatever you're talking about. And then you can use some of these techniques: surrealist painting, steampunk engraving, film noir poster. So these are prompts of style that it already knows what they are. So it'll take the same idea and recast it in different ways. So here's NotebookLM, and I'm teaching a class in it. So you start with your sources. You've got a 1 million context window, 300 separate PDFs, and there's all the list of all the apps you can load up. A YouTube video does the complete transcripts and everything. Hit the Discover tab when you're done putting in what you know is your source. For free, you can put 50 sources. That means the entire transcripts of Dennis Hassabis's entire documentary about him. That alone would give me that illustration that we looked at earlier, right? Because it talks about all those things. So all I had to do is put that in there, and it has the entire thing. Then you have a chat if you want to sort of focus your attention to certain things. I have taken giant projects which have 300 different things in there. So I loaded up all of the major applications that I use every day. And I did a deep dive, and I said, search for the best stuff on NotebookLM, on Nana Banana, blah, 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 and the techniques and things you can do with it. Then I'll just go over to my sources, turn off the button next to those sources, and then ask it to define in my generation of a overview, tell me the best things I could do with Nana Banana, tell me the best things I could do with NotebookLM for educators. So I prompt it in my studio, which is the end of the process, to make it. So this same exact information graphic done in this style, which is more of a cartoon infographic, gives me this 1980s style. So on the right, what am I doing? I'm putting in PDFs, MP3, text files, billions of context window, if that's more correct. And then I query it, that content, define connections, query your grounded knowledge, research assistant, and then I then go to create artifacts in the classroom. So this is how I'm teaching it to students and educators. You're using it for quiz and assessment, video overviews, slide decks, infographics, and you're prompting for the best results covered in the class. So that is curated knowledge, the library, Gemini query and connection center, and then classroom artifacts and output creation. That's what it is. So then I said, let's make this, and the keywords are here, in the style of parchment from the Library of Alexandria. I want you to make an infographic that shows off the main features of Google Notebook LM on the left, the sources in the middle, and chat on the right. Studio, what are all the capabilities? And then the rest that you see there. So that's what I use. The top part, I just changed the style to whatever I want, and I got this. So this is the same information that I got from the previous ones you just saw, but by putting in there in the style of parchment paper from the Library of Alexandria. There you go. So it's using the style to take the same information. Now, this is too much text. So here's another little tidbit for you. Ask it to have headline only text, because while I could go back and fix all this, and it's not too far from the truth, this is incredible detail. And what I've actually done in this particular one is I fed it to Gemini, and I said, make sense out of these words. I went back to the same conversation where I started the process to go into NotebookLM to generate my content, trying to figure out how to explain NotebookLM. And then it regenerated the text. So I could go back and retouch this and get it absolutely perfect. But you've got the foundation, the engine, and the factory. And those are the three things. So then I said, Renaissance style painting illustrate the ideas of the American Civil War, where we are and who's fighting whom, and what the most difficult things about the AI age in America is: modern disinformation, social media, chamber mode, personifying, that means it's going to put people in there to illustrate. Visuals that illuminate the ideas with the very few words. That's the magic words right there, right? Very few words, but strong conceptual personified art look at the artificial intelligence and its potential future effect on the discourse for the good and bad. There you go. There's a Renaissance painting, the digital panacopia, the secondary dark abuse, the Falcon app, Palantir's immigration OS. So this is all the stuff I put in there, the problems with the world, the deep fakes on the right, the large language models dividend, the fact that Facebook was stealing data from you, so they get a dividend by fracturing America. So this is personified what I was trying to say before. But here's all of the facts: immigration enforcement, secondary dark abuse, the digital panic, the government builds NSA's PRISM program. So this is the evil dark on the right, and these are the effects on the human people. Holy cow. Beautiful Renaissance-style portrait of Dennis Azabas. Large portrait on the left with metaphorical illustrations of the top impact Demis has had on the world of AI, biblical allegory style. There you go. It's the same thing as before, and it gets into AlphaFold, 3D static protein structures, AlphaFold 3, dynamic pairwise interactions. And there is the DNA in the protein folding. And he's dreamed of a full in silico simulation of the virtual cell to 100x the speed of wet lab experiments, eventually modeling the origin of life from primordial soup. That's what he's working on right now. So this is the same data, but this is the different outcome in a Renaissance portrait. Beautiful Renaissance portrait. There we go. And there it is again with a slight change. And I didn't put the top 5 impacts. I said, there's 5 impacts, right? So steampunk engraving style, give me a visually rich, photographically cinematic, dark gray background, metaphorically personified. I love metaphorically personified. Use images to convey ideas with smart images that speak as in metaphor. And I've also started using in the way that biblical stories tell the story in pictures. So I started doing that. There you go. Same information. Let's try that in a WPA federal art project style. Give me visually rich, photographically cinematic, dark gray background, metaphorically personified. Same information. There it is, the deep questions for the AI age. And there are the 9 different things: reality and simulation, agency and control. And I should have asked for less text, but this is great. You've even got Alan Turing in the top left, the nature of intelligence. Intelligence is not a monolith. That's a quote from Alan Turing underneath there, right? You can't quite read it, but this is incredible. And you've even got Zuckerberg and the leaders at the bottom, right? ChatGPT. Give me a visually rich, cinematically, blah, blah, metaphorical, personified. Look for the biggest, deep things in artificial intelligence. There you go. There's the 9 ideas. And guess who's at the bottom? Elon, Mark, and ChatGPT CEO, right? So it's all there, the homogenization of culture, the future connection. And then it added, because I put the matrix in there and I put her in there in the places where the human connection, and it used the reference to the meaning of her. This is a knowledge cornucopia. So dark background gray. So these are things I use again and again. Art as a verb, giving me the 6 different levels of technology and their impact on humanity. And the age of the aura, where the object is an art object of, there's only one Mona Lisa. You have to be in the presence of that. So if he took a master's degree, Claude, so Benjamin made the quote about the aura, the idea that we went from that to an age where you can see surrealist and Andy Warhol give us the a commercial object as a valuable thing, and 15 minutes of frame. So 1964, the end of art. So this is all large language models. This is a master's level thesis course. I've taught art history many times. I've taken 8 art history courses, one with Jerry Uelsman as my instructor, and one in photography. And I want to do one using this tool to generate all my stuff. Human displacement jobs, existential loss of meaning and power, fake news, propaganda, high quality Renaissance painting, biblical nature, in nature, cinematic, beautifully metaphorical presentation, artificial intelligence, the age, blah, blah, blah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You know, so this is a recasting of that same knowledge in all of these visual representation. Here's a Jordan Peterson in this sort of Renaissance painting architecture. And this is everything. If you know Jordan Peterson, this is every YouTube video, and I had it searched for me. So I just said, I went in there, hit Discover tab, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm just going to run through these high quality Renaissance painting. This is from the PowerPoint, the second creation, an illuminated manuscript on the age of artificial intelligence. And this is one of the slides that came out of it. The silent collapse of unemployment. The pop star dumps the athlete. Content moderated, community guideline violations. And this woman, humans first. Then there's this. So this is an illustration that I created on personifying each one of the large language models. This is done in Gemini, but it basically, and then it broke it down. It picked who it picked. I gave it some a bunch of stuff that I've been doing. So here's what I did in ChatGPT that you can do. I'm going to be attaching a PDF of this entire document. So you can literally copy and paste this that you see on screen, or while you're watching it, take a screenshot, copy and paste this and change it to whatever city you want. Somewhere in there is the word Paris. And I made it at nighttime. I found this online, just redid it. These are some things I've been doing recently. Then I've been downloading off of Facebook every day. This one guy puts up all these things trying to explain something. So I then make it better. So he was trying to talk about how ripening and overripening, there's more starch, there's more digestible. So I basically said, make it a worthwhile infographic that walks me through when I should eat something and why I shouldn't, how the growing conditions influences the amount of starch and sugars. And, so eating a banana when it's ripe or unripe changes the fiber content. I didn't know all that, but certainly could help me, right? The amount of pectin and I don't even know what this stuff means, but I was able to do it. Here's another one. The circadian rhythm and your brain. Bingo. Holy crap. This is the 24-hour circadian rhythm about your body's master clock resetting itself. And there's the serotonin, the cortisol, and how it affects and how it works. And there is your pancreas and your liver and your fat and how they have to work on this, how much sleep you get. Oh my goodness. So it's the ability. Here's Joseph Campbell's conceptual thinking about the hero's journey. Of course, he influenced the writing of Star Wars because that's what it was made based upon. So there's his hero's journey with the personification of the Matrix and all the different characters throughout history who personified this idea. So what did that cause? It caused, Star Wars to be made. He directly referenced Joseph Campbell's concepts in the making of the movie Star Wars and the hero's journey. And the same with The Lion King. And that's my prompt. The 12 stages of the hero's journey. Visualize, so I happen to know that little bit. Winding path through a map. Refer to the context pasted below for the 3 acts and 12 steps of the hero's journey. And there it is reimagined as just Lord of the Rings and the 12 steps of, the ordinary world, the call to adventure, the refusal of the call, the meeting of the mentor. So the crossing of the threshold, the test of allies and enemies, the approach to the innermost cave. Oh my goodness. And there's all the elements in a cartoon form and a map, right? Photographic lighting, photography studio. This is for my photography class. I taught these 4 different ways of lighting. We did this as an assignment. Give me an infographic about the United States. What are the core differences between Republican and Democrat? Not how we act, but what our core ideas are. There you go. That's an infographic I made. This is a prompt I found online. I said, tell me more about this. In an infographic, give me 6 ideas about what's unique about it that it can do that no other plane can. There's a little extra plane in there. There's a missile being fired. And I had it, of course, against the sky. So here's an infographic, 6 major things for an infographic about a T-Rex. The cheetah and the T-Rex and speeds that they go at. So obviously a human would be dead because a T-Rex can go 15 to 25 miles an hour. So yeah, that you know that. And then I ask it to tell me key facts. And then on the right, give me key tech facts, scientific context, mass, diet, habitat, and time period. Holy crap. So mycelium, try to explain that, right? The wood wide web is what it's called. Underground, it's communicating between big and small trees for the migration of water between different ones that need it and don't need it. Even during a fire, there's an underground communication system that's equivalent across acres and miles that the trees talk to each other and always have. We didn't even know about this. But this came from this prompt which was, did some research about it in ChatGPT and came over and got it to happen. Here are the 16 panels from the shower scene from Psycho. So it knows everything in the world. Here's the picture that I got from online that somebody did. And they were so proud of themselves, which is pretty cool. I watched a Josh Gates episode about it. And I said, hey, can you make it real? Holy crap. So can you make this full colored, real looking infographic with all the parts, making the building pyramid, make the central figure larger and put the Sphinx off to one side, bigger and more contextual background, looking like a real senior think three-dimensional building, the pyramids, and an ancient Egypt of script. So this is a papyrus-based infographic that's real and is based upon its knowledge of all of these separate elements. And of course, you can have some fun and make some ugly Christmas sweaters, or you can do the kind of stuff that you see here. Oh, this one was really kind of amazing. Those are my 4 pictures. So this is a pretty long prompt, but someone had posted, you want little versions of yourself on the shoulder. So I just went in there and added that I have a Nikon Z8 camera and that it put all the correct lenses. And that is the Nikon Z8 camera that I have. And then I said, put me sitting at a desk with all this going on. And here's my 4 pictures. They're framed and on the wall and spotlighted. So if you read this whole long thing, that's how I got this. This is a one-shot prompt in ChatGPT. And then we've got free will and human consciousness. And that started with just a post. And then I loaded up my picture, and all of the world is agreed upon hallucinations. Money is a hallucination we agree to abide by. It's a contract between nations, how we exchange that money. It's a contract between you and your bosses. So it's a long conversation of what is consciousness. Are you aware that you're playing a game? Do you know that our political system is just a board game privileging rich people right now? And that the government is not working for we the people? Well, if you know that, then you can have free will and you potentially can change it. What's it going to take to change? You got to change the world. What kind of job is that? A dangerous freaking man like me, Rick McCawley. A man that understands that free will requires that you raise your consciousness to understand how these board games are not privileging you and redesign them with other people that feel the same way, that we should design it for a machine of loving grace to serve us, the public, and give us the power that we deserve. So tonight's episode has been dedicated to one thing. My name is Rick McCawley. I am born of service to the world. I hope you will join me because, as John Lennon says, I'm not the only one. And now you've heard my story of what I'm doing. What are you going to do with AI? So John Kennedy said, ask not, I'm paraphrasing here, what AI can do for you, but ask what you can do with AI. What can I do with my ikigai, my purpose-building thing in life, to illustrate the world to you, to do deep dives and spend the rest of my life dedicated to one good thing after another, making myself a better version of myself, understanding that politics has been broken for centuries, and we're at the nexus point where you have to decide, are you on the side of good or evil? Are you on the side of getting into good trouble, necessary trouble? Because we are all people that have to stand up, like Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death. I say, give me a better world or give me death. And to my dying day, which I hope will be extended healthily way into my 200s, I'm going to every day dedicate my life to making it a better world for immigrants and for people like yourselves that are just good people, that just want to do good things and live in a world that you can raise your children in. I've had too many conversations with people that aren't having children. All of my students have no interest in having children because it's a broke world, that they don't even know what they don't know and how to fix it. But I'm telling you, if you learn to get on the good side of AI and use it to amplify whatever gift you have to give to the world, you will make stardust into starlight. Like Dennis Sasabas, you might be able to cure cancer. You might be able to change the world. You might be a Nobel Peace Prize winner. You might just make the world a better, safer place for your kids and for other people's kids and for immigrants and everybody else. We need to act now because we've already seen what it looks like to be in echo chambers of our own discourse, to be divided as a nation instead of we the people. We know what this is like. We know what this moment is. And it's time to own it and change the world. Namaste. And thank you very much for joining me tonight. I'm Rick McCawley, the AI guy, and my goal is to make the world a better place for all.